Welcome back to another Pickled Unscripted. As always, I have with me the talented Matt the Pickled Dragon, and I am Dracoya. Now, Matt, what are you drinking?
This time, I'm going back to my old favorite, Glenmorangie.
Nice. And I have some amazing French cognac. Unfortunately, this is the last bit of alcohol that is left in my house. So if you guys could comment, like, subscribe, help me out, take a look at our t-shirts that Matt has painstakingly made for you guys.
Yes,
Uh yeah, and then maybe I can stock myself full of other types of alcohol. But
beverages.
we have a great debate for you guys today. Matt and I have been debating on New Year's resolutions. So, Matt had said that he thinks that New Year's resolutions should be life-changing, right, Matt?
Lifestyle changes.
Okay.
Yes, like things that make a difference, a positive difference in your life.
Hmm.
And
Whereas I think they should be much smaller, kind of like, quitting drinking soda for the first 2 months or losing 10 pounds.
but both of those to me would be, given how bad soda is for you, pretty important.
I guess that's true. I don't know. Well, what do you guys think? Should your New Year's resolutions be big? Should it be like, I'm gonna lose 3,000 pounds and gain abs and, become a super villain? Or should it be like, I'm just gonna start doing yoga once a week and maybe I'll walk the dog more? What do you guys think? Comment, like, subscribe, do the thing.
Do the
And
thing.
we
Do the
have we have 7 new resolutions for you as a player of Dungeons and Dragons and what you should try this year for your resolutions, D&D style.
Yes. Last time we talked about the DM resolutions. So Trakoya thought, well, we did DMs, we should talk about players.
Fair is
So
fair.
yeah.
So, let's jump into it. First thing is play a new class. I think we're all guilty of this. I know I definitely am, where we don't ever go out of our little comfort zone. I really love playing a bard. I love playing an evil bard. And one time I actually played a really good cleric, and that was a challenge, but I actually found that I really enjoyed it, which goes into our second thing. Role play something outside of your personality and create a system to keep up for it. So, my really good girl cleric, she didn't drink, she didn't date, she didn't do any of the things because, she was a good girl cleric. And that's very much not like me.
No dating.
Yeah, well,
Well, I think creating a system for keeping it up, I think is really important because most players will fall back on their normal habits, and which is basically means play themselves, right? Most players, not all players. But this is a reason why I have preached in the past that the alignment system should not be kicked out of the game because it can serve as a reminder when you every time you look down and you see lawful good Dracoya, that I'm not playing Dracoya, and I have to act accordingly.
yep,
So
yep. I don't even remember what her name was. I think her name was like something really cute and southern, like Missy.
yeah, Crystal.
Something something really cute. And I was just like, and I would always tell off the rest of the party, you guys can't drink. And one time I got caught taking the drunk paladin's alcohol and pouring it out in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Yikes.
All right. Next. So this is something I actually award my players bonus experience for, and that is to write a letter or journal in your character's voice regarding the last session or just reflections on what's going on in the campaign. And my players do it religiously, I would say, with the exception of like one or two people, religiously every week, every session gets journaled. So a lot of people get a lot of XP. It's 10% bonus to whatever they earned. And it is an interesting process because as a DM, I go back and I read those and I say, I thought I was communicating this, but I just read four journals that said I was communicating something completely different than what I thought I was doing. And the great thing about that is, if that's an even better idea, you can run with it. Scrap your
Mm-hmm.
idea so they could do part of your DM job and planning for you. So yeah, I mean it's an interesting way of making sure your players are keeping up with all of the story elements that you're throwing at them.
It's
So,
a great idea, and he does make all of his players keep a journal. And if you guys are interested in following along his journey, you should check out Matt's website. You are also
oh, yeah.
welcome to check out Matt's website and send me a message on my Instagram or on my email if you would like any miniatures for your Dungeons and Dragons game this year.
Yes. So, and that leads to the next uh, resolution, and
Hmm.
that is obviously DMs put enormous amounts of work into their campaigns. Far more than an average player will put into their character planning or journaling or otherwise. And so, if you are a player in a campaign where you feel that your DM is doing an exceptional job, make it a resolution that you shower them with praise and gifts bordering on worship, but I would even take worship.
In the form of giving them a brand new painted miniature. Or,
Yes.
Matt, you want to show them the coasters I got you?
Oh, yes. So the other one is over at my DMing station, but I got these awesome stone coasters from Dracoya for Christmas, and they are lovely and they fit my whiskey glasses perfectly
See, there you go, guys. Being a DM is a thankless job. So make sure you're saying thank you and giving your DM a happy DM day gift this year.
every day.
All right. Well, that leads to the next thing, which is you should try different things, like trying out of combat strategies. So, try to maybe get out of having a fight. I think a lot of us, we tend to talk ourselves into fights a lot, but maybe try to talk yourself out of one. It would be really great if we could ruin the DM's plans by becoming best friends with that one person that was supposed to be a pretty challenging boss.
Yes, this reminds me of I played for a very short time in a third edition game. I died. I always die. But I, for whatever reason, I was a fighter. I decided to dump all of my skill points. If you remember in third edition, there were skill points for everything. And I dumped everything in diplomacy, even though I was a fighter. So it was all cross class and whatnot. But the time came where we came across a marauding band of hobgoblins, and their officer had died, and so they had turned to banditry. And through a spot on speech, because my DM, you can't just roll. You gotta act it out, which is hard because not everybody is very charismatic or whatever. But through a spot on speech and a natural 20 on my D20 check, I recruited all the hobgoblins. And so we had the problem like we could afford to pay them, but you couldn't just travel anywhere with like a marauding band of hobgoblins. So there came a point in time where we had to ditch them kind of like stealthily and get away because they had used up their usefulness.
These
Uh,
poor hobgoblins, you made them think that you're the Messiah and then you just ditched them?
well, we had to go back to town at some point, and we weren't going to be taking a bunch of hobgoblins with us, so
Jesus.
you're
And you
out
know what else you can do in town is that leads us into the next one. Explore downtime activities. Guys, pick up a book.
that is something like you're right. Like that is something that players don't do as much of. Like if you look at the campaigns released by WotC, there's always like this very urgent timetable pushing the players along. And they oftentimes don't have time or don't take time to do other things. Like maybe if you're like 10th level and you got all this gold to spend, put some roots down and have a keep commission, build something,
Why
try to
not?
become landed. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of like something that has faded over the years, but I know like back in the first and second edition days, my players always, always, always were looking toward, having a stronghold, having a hideout somewhere, building it up, building infrastructure, having some sort of like adventuring guild and whatnot. So
I mean, that's cool, but I wasn't even talking at that level. I just said pick up a book. Like, pick up a book and start teaching your person, your character, something different. Have them get swole. One of your players, they're like, oh, I want to multi-class into a barbarian. Well, then guess what, player? You better start doing some push-ups at night when you're doing watch.
yes, go sleep out in the woods a few times.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. All right, you players.
Last one.
Yes, last one. So this is one that at least at my tables, has become a thing for really 40 years. And that is if you haven't ever taken the leadership role before, take it on. And that I've had tables where either nobody wanted to make the call, which is really my current table, and so it turns into a lot of wheel spinning.
Yeah.
Um,
Everyone's super nice at your table. They're
yeah,
like, you go
everyone's kind
first.
of
No,
like,
you go
well, what do we
first.
do? Like, no one wants to make the call, and no one
No.
wants to like. So I found, story reasons to kind of like push them, not necessarily towards a choice, but just to make a choice. But the other thing is that there's like one person in the group that just campaign after campaign, they are the one that kind of push the party along. And, if you're not used to taking on that role, why don't you go for it?
Yeah.
Just
You got nothing to
try.
lose.
Yeah, go for it. What's the worst that can happen? TPK, but don't worry about TPKs because, TPKs are those things that everybody should have experienced once
Yeah, sure.
because you'll remember it always. So yeah.
Sure. Or you could just try to be a good leader, but seriously, you got nothing to lose. Personal growth, guys. May 2025 be filled with lots of it.
Good times. Comment, like, subscribe, everybody. And come on back and have another round on us.